Hi, this is Carrie, and I am going to show you how to add photos to an iScrapbook scrapbook layout and add photos to shapes in an iScrapbook scrapbook layout. The first way you can add photos is to go to the Photos tab over on the right in the right pane and click Photos, and it will open your iPhoto library or your most recently used iPhoto library for those people that use multiple iPhoto libraries. And it shows you all your albums in this top pane, and you can select an album, and then it shows you all the pictures in your album in that bottom pane. And I'm just going to pick a photo and drag it right onto my layout, and then it brings it in at its native size, so I'm going to resize it and place it over here on my page. The other way you can bring photos into a layout is by opening iPhoto, selecting your photo, and dragging it onto your page. You can also find your photo in the Finder and drag it onto the page that way. And so I'm going to just resize this and put it up here. Now I'm working on a double page spread, and I have it sized so I can see both pages at the same time, so I can see where I'm placing my photos. To adjust your zoom on your page, you can either use this slider bar down at the bottom of the window to slide in and out. You can click on View and do zoom in or zoom out in the View menu, or you can use the keyboard shortcuts of Command plus to zoom in or Command Shift minus to zoom out. Now, for some reason, normally in software it's Command minus to zoom out, but in iScrapbook, for some reason they've added the shift in there, and so it's Command Shift minus in iScrapbook. So you just have to get a little used to that. Now, I have two photos on my page, and I want to put a photo in a shape. I want to make a different shaped photo rather than just rectangle. And so I'm going to go to my Shapes tab over here in the right-hand pane. And I noticed I really wanted to put a heart on here, but for some reason they don't have a heart. They have all sorts of stars and clouds and things, but no heart. So I decided to use a circle. So I'm just going to drag my circle over here and place it on my page. Now, to resize my circle, the first thing I need to do is open my Smart Inspector and select Dimensions. And you can see it's a perfect circle in the dimensions because the width and the height are the same measurement. And I want it to be a perfect circle, so I'm going to click Constrain Proportions, so when I drag it to resize it, it doesn't accidentally end up as an oval. Now you can just type in your size in the boxes and it will resize it to the size you want, or you can click and drag on your little handles on the size on the object here. And I'm going to place that right about there. Now, I want to put a photo into it. And in other software like SBC Studio, you don't have to tell it you want to put a photo in there. You can just drop a photo in there and it trims it to the circle. In iScrapbook, you have one more step. You have to tell it that you're going to use it for something like a photo or a paper or embellishment or something. So if you click on your Smart Inspector again and click Image, it will open this little box and it says Define as Placeholder. If you check that box, a dialog box pops open and says what you want to put in there. And you can drop down this menu and select Photo, Paper, Overlay. I'm going to leave it as Photo. I don't know that it matters. I mean, if I tell it Photo and I drag a piece of paper in there, I don't think it's going to care. It's just mainly this is for your benefit when you are looking at a page to know what you intended to put in there. And I'm going to click OK. And you see now my circle has a silhouette in it, and it says Drag Photo here. So now I'm going to find a photo to drag into my circle, and this time I'm going to use the Finder just to illustrate that, that method of putting a photo in there. And on my desktop I have a photo, and I'm going to just drag and drop that right into that circle. Now it resizes the photo to fit as best as it can while constraining the proportions, and immediately the crop box is open, and which allows you to drag the photo to position it in the circle in the best the way you want it. You can zoom in and out. I usually zoom in just a little more so my photo is just a little bigger than my shape. That way I'm sure I'm not going to end up with like a flat-edged circle or something. And again, you can rotate the image or flip it horizontally or vertically if you'd like. I'm going to click OK. And there I have my photo trimmed into a circle shape. Now the other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add one more photo to this page, but I'm also going to add an element to this page. And I'm going to click on my Pretty in Pink kit and frame. And I want to put a frame on my page to put a photo into. And so I'm going to drag the frame over here on this side and resize it a little bit. And now I want to put a photo inside this frame. To do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag a shape over here, a rectangle, and put it here and just resize it so it's just a smidgen bigger than the opening of the frame. And then once again, I'm going to drop down my Smart Inspector and say Image, and say Define as Placeholder. I want it to be a photo, and say OK. And now I have a placeholder for my photo. So I'm going to go back over here to my Photos tab and find my photo that I want to put in there, and drag and drop it into my placeholder. My crop box comes open and I can reposition my photo to be where I want it. I'm going to once again make it a little bigger so I'm sure that I don't get anything cut off or have any white space in my box, and click OK. And now my photo is trimmed to fit in that opening. However, you notice that my rectangle, however, is sitting on top of my frame, and I want my frame on top, obviously, so the photo looks like it's framed. So I'm going to select my frame, come down here and open my Smart Inspector and click Arrange. And this brings up a little box with buttons in it so you can arrange your items on the page. And the 4 buttons I'm looking for right now are these Arrange buttons over here. This one moves an object forward 1 layer at a time. The one below it sends an object backward 1 layer at a time. This button brings the selected object all the way to the top or the front of the layer, and this one sends it all the way to the back of the layer. And I want my frame to be on top of my picture. I want it to be all the way to the front of the layer, and so it pops it right up on top. So there you have. I'm going to do my File Save. Save early, save often. And there you have the ways you can use to add photos and photo shapes to iScrapbook pages.